Welcome to You Grievin The Podcast. I'm your host, Malcolm Madison. All right, so the purpose of this podcast is to find healing from grief, to share real stories, real pain, and start real healing. Grief isn't just about death. It's about the ending of relationships, dreams, or even loss of a job. The loss and disruptions that happen in our life when you say goodbye to a version of yourself that you once knew. And that happened to me a while ago, and I am a whole new person after my sister transitioned. 4 years later, I am becoming someone different still. But now, with that being said, I have a very special guest here with me today. I'm really excited that you were able to join me today, Miss Chanda Swinney. Now, did I say it right?
You did say it right. Thank you.
All right. All right. Let me keep going.
Okay.
Proud mother of Amari Mitchell. Did I say his name right?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
And president and CEO of My Sunshine Foundation here in Atlanta.
Yes, that's correct.
So thank you for being here with me today. I'm very excited that we do get to do this. And you responded very, very quickly. So I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much for reaching out.
Thank you. Thank you. So just small little background about why I'm doing this specifically. My big sister that I was previously telling you, she passed. It's been 4 years. July 29th will be 4 years. She passed suddenly. She had to have open heart surgery. And shortly after that, she passed. So that was definitely unexpected and it was sudden. And there's so many different types of death that affect us, whether it's planned, whether it's sudden, whether it's unexpected, expected. So that definitely affected me in a way that I didn't know was even possible. I was extremely depressed. I did not want to be here anymore. And it led me into therapy, and it led me to realize that now I'm not the only one experiencing grief. And then it also opened my eyes to grief is not just about death. So, and then my sister is also, or was also, very technology driven. And I had a podcast titled My Black Self, the podcast, and she enjoyed listening to that. So all of my creativity and like the purple that you see is her favorite color. So some things are homage to her.
I love
But
it. Yeah.
with that being said, also the main question of the podcast, how you grieving?
How am I grieving? Well, at the moment, I'm grieving okay, but that can change in an instant. It's like being on an emotional roller coaster that never ends. So at this moment, I'm doing okay.
Yes, I completely understand that. So I've done a little research. So this year will make 4 years since Amari Mitchell has transitioned, right?
That's correct. In November.
Okay,
Yes.
November. Can you tell me a little about him?
Gladly. So Amari Mitchell, the son of obviously Chanda Swinney and Monty Mitchell, was born on October 17, 2002. And just such a blessing to me and so many others, and just such an impactful child. In his 19 years, he did so much. He was an entrepreneur, basketball player, friend, confidant. I mean, just not perfect because we're not perfect, but the perfect son for us. I mean, it's just such a blessing. I just can't really describe all he meant to us and all that he, you know, taught us, because I learned so much from my child. I mean, it was just amazing. And so because of him, I have a different perspective on life. And because of his transition, like you said, he's really changed me. Never in a gazillion years imagined outliving my child. And, but here I am.
Yes. I know that I don't know what it is like to lose a child. The only thing I know is what it's like to lose a grandparent and a sister and a cousin. You know what I mean? And I know that that is something different. Of course, when my sister passed, my mom was affected, right? So everybody just shows grief differently, but I also do believe that it has changed her as well. Can you tell me what that time was like for you during his transition?
I can. Before I do, let me just say that I too have had other loved ones to pass away, like my parents, for example, with whom I was very close. But when you lose a child, it's just a different beast. I mean, to me, it compares to no other loss, and it's just extremely difficult. It's like it's surreal, yet it's so real. It's just yeah. So going back, Amari became ill, and at one point, he and I both thought that he was about to transition, but he bounced back. Thankfully, I feel that God gave us 3 additional months to
Mhm.
be together, and so his transition was expected but unexpected, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So we were at home together on the 23rd of November 2021. He had just graduated high school that May, and he was planning to attend Kennesaw State University. We had found him an apartment. He wasn't able to start in the fall because of his illness, and he asked me if I thought he'd be able to start in the next semester. And I just said, I hope so, because of course we didn't know. And
Yeah.
so on November 23rd, 2021, God called him home. And we were home together, and so even with his transition, there are many things that I'm still grateful for. I know things could be even worse, is what I say all the time. So,
Yeah. I know. I like to tell people that grief is one of the most beautiful, worst things that ever happened to me. And it was beautiful because throughout my sister's life, throughout our time, I was the big brother, even though I was the younger brother, right? So I had the opportunity to allow her to transition. Like I was the one that said, okay, it's time. So when I was in therapy, my therapist told me, she was like, you got to open the door for her. So like that's the most beautiful thing you could do. You were there for the all the time she needed you up until the very end. And then it was the worst just because of the actual experience of it all. Like it's traumatizing you. You have weird moments throughout the days where you're like, did I really just experience that? Do you think or have you experienced the 5 stages of grief? And are you familiar with those five? And I added one more in there.
what'd you add, if I may ask?
So, the five are the depression, denial, acceptance, anger, and bargaining. And I added suicidal ideation to that.
Mhm. Yes.
Um,
So, yes, to answer your question, I have experienced all six. Um, Not in any particular order, they just
mhm.
come and go. So, yes, it's just you never know when it's going to hit you, what may trigger you. You just don't know, and so it's just day to day. You're just trying to really brace yourself and hold on for what's to come.
Yes, when I would experience them all, I feel like in one day. I feel like the acceptance was kind of it was only easy to accept because I was there, right? Like I knew it happened. I was a part of that. But that sixth one that I added, I never knew I could experience that. I was ready to go. Like I would wake up in the morning and go, all right, God, now you playing a game now. I done told you. And it was just so real. And it was like I had to act for a while. I didn't tell my therapist because I was like, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. But it came to a point where I said, okay, let me tell my therapist, and I'm going to stop doing anything that would contribute to that because obviously that's not what I want to do. So I stopped drinking alcohol, and I wasn't drinking crazy, but I said, well, let me just not do anything that may have a reaction or may cause me to have an actual reaction to these thoughts that are in my head. So I was completely sober and I would just sit in my house and just deal and talk to people about it. So that's how I got through certain things. How did you take care of yourself during that time?
Well, I'm still taking care of myself. It's just a day to day thing, and I too have had suicidal thoughts. Just want to talk about that for a second. And what has stopped me, I think, because pain just feels so unbearable at times, as you know, and but I think about, I do believe that we will be reunited at some point. And so the thought of harming myself and risking that reunion not occurring is what has prevented me from taking action. And of course, thankfully, I haven't had those thoughts too often, but when they come, they're real.
Yeah.
And it's really it scares me, honestly. But thankfully, they don't occur nearly as often, so I think I'm okay. So circling back to your question, which was right.
How did you take care of yourself during that time?
Okay, so I'm finding different ways to cope. My son and I hate that it's hard for me to talk about him in past tense.
Yes.
But he and I were at a gym. We had basketball in common, the love of basketball. And so we were at a gym probably about 5 or 6 years ago, or maybe even longer. And I was introduced to pickleball. And so, and I'm a former tennis player. And so, fast forward to last year, my neighborhood has a pickleball group. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to go out there. And so I have fallen in love with pickleball. And so that is one thing that brings me joy.
That
Um,
is beautiful.
what'd you say?
That's beautiful.
And I've met some wonderful people. And so, yeah. And so, some other ways I've taken care of myself, there are some support groups. One is called the Compassionate Friends Group, and there are different chapters or locations. And so, I've attended those sessions, and it's very beneficial to be around people who are in similar situations, who have had similar losses. And then there's another group that's virtual called Alive Alone. That has truly been a godsend. That is specifically for parents who have lost one or all of their children, well, their only child or all of their children. And so I have connected with one person in particular who I just really am so grateful that our paths crossed. I hate why they crossed, of course,
Yeah.
but she's just been amazing. She and her husband, I met, actually were able to meet them, was able to meet them. They live in Colorado. But yes, so just those connections, these new friendships, I call them friends in grief. And it's amazing how your circle changes, because now some old friends are no longer, because we don't have much in common anymore in this new season of my life. And so new friends, old friends, it's just
Yeah.
an interesting time.
It's definitely just a way of life too. And then, some those old relationships still mean as much as they did when you had them, right? That didn't change fully. You just outgrow, and you definitely do become someone different, and the newer relationships just blossom.
Yes.
And you just have to be grateful for those opportunities. Now, since you brought up Alive Alone, you have the Sunshine Foundation. So how did you start this foundation?
Okay, and that's another way that I cope. So, my son was so compassionate about homeless and underprivileged people. As I mentioned, he had his own business, and he would support people, sometimes unbeknownst to me until later, what have you, with his own funds. And so he even wanted to build a homeless shelter. And so to continue his legacy, I just felt this strong urge to do something. And so I founded My Sunshine Foundation in July of 2022 in honor of my son. And what we do is we support homeless and underprivileged students, adults, families. And we also support like homeless shelters and underserved schools and others. And so it's just been amazing. And I know that this is my new purpose in life. And I thank God really for planting that idea in my head, because it brings me so much joy to bless others.
That is beautiful. I know at one point I got involved in a little something something down here in Atlanta when I was first here, but it's very nice that you get to carry on that legacy of his. And it's very cool that he was involved in that at such a young age. He kind of had the sense of what life was really about, and it's just really about everybody else.
True. I mean, he's an amazing kid. I'm not just saying that because he's my son, but he taught me a lot and helped me, like I said, to see things from a different perspective. That's not that serious. And he was right, I'm a perfectionist, but yeah, he's like, really, so
Yes,
yeah, we just such a great relationship.
that is beautiful. So, why did you name it the Sunshine Foundation?
So it's actually called My Sunshine Foundation,
Yes.
and I spell it Sonshine because my son Amari is still my sunshine. He was my sunshine since October 17, 2002, when he made his debut.
Oh, that is nice. Can you share a moment when you really felt the impact of the work of the My Sunshine Foundation?
I can. There've been so many, but I'll tell you. Most recently, we started the Amari Mitchell Determination Award. And we awarded it to two students who attend the Boyce L. Ansley School, which is a school specifically for homeless students,
Wow.
current or former. Yes, I learned about it when I was watching the news a while back, and just an amazing school, and the way they love on those kids is just amazing. Amari just showed such fierce determination. He had to overcome so many obstacles in his short life. His dad passed away when he was around age 12 or 13. He was mistreated by several basketball coaches, and he just had to overcome a lot. And so, but he was determined, he was resilient. And so, because of that, we wanted to recognize some students at the Ansley School. Of course, all of them probably deserve it just for the simple fact that they attend that school, which means they are or were homeless.
Yes.
So they had that obstacle. But the faculty and administration chose the two recipients. And it was just such a proud moment to present them with a plaque and a Visa gift card.
Wow.
Yes.
That is nice. I'm glad you're out here doing this work because it's definitely needed. There's so many avenues and ways to reach people, and there's so many people that need to be reached. So that's definitely important work. What has surprised you most about this journey of building the foundation?
I was familiar with, the homeless population, but to be so up close and personal, I'm just it's really been an enlightening experience. Like, there are people who are really, really struggling, and we take a lot for granted. And I've known that, but I know it even more so now because I see how people are struggling to have a meal, for shoe. They don't have shoes, just basic necessities they just don't have. And, others of us, are living in abundance and, taking for granted what we have and probably not being as grateful as we should, because that could easily be us on the other side.
Yes. Yes. Can you tell us or me more about the fourth annual Fun Run Walk that's coming up in October?
Gladly. Thank you for asking. So, this will be our fourth annual Fun Run Walk, as you mentioned. It's our only fundraiser as of right now. And so we don't have the location pinned down yet, but it's on October 18 from 10 a.m. until noon. And it's just a fun run walk. So if we had to put a distance on it, I would say a mile. But it's really a fun time. And thankfully, we've had so much success with the previous three events. And that is what enables us to go out and support people in need, in addition to donations that we receive just, in general.
Yes. So I got to sign up for this. So I'll be signing up for that to be there.
Thank you.
Now, I saw that you received the Legend Award at the was the Our House volunteer brunch in recognition. How did that make you feel?
I really can't describe how that made me feel. We don't do this to receive accolades or anything like that, but at the same time, it's nice to, I guess, be noticed and to for someone to be grateful, I guess, for what you were doing. And so that was unexpected and very appreciated. Yes. So it's our
Yeah.
house, yes, homeless shelter. Yes.
Okay, nice. So the anniversary of My Sunshine Foundation is coming up. Is it July 22nd?
Yes. You've done your homework, your research.
So are you doing anything personal to celebrate that or just anything at all?
Well, I was thinking about that, and I think I'm going to have a gathering for my fellow board members.
Yeah.
This work could not be done without their efforts. So I think we'll celebrate all that we've accomplished because I'm really proud of it. And I'm so thankful to our donors, again, who enable us to carry out the work and fulfill our mission. And so thankful to God again for just planting
Yes.
this idea and blessing our efforts. And so, yes, I think this year we will celebrate our 4-year anniversary.
Wow. So how do you feel connected to your son?
Um, he's not here physically, obviously, but our bond is unbroken. And so I still talk to him as well as my parents. I used to face my son was so spoiled. Sometimes I'd be in the store and I would have to FaceTime him to show him whatever I was trying to get his opinion on what he's so spoiled. Uh,
Yes.
you're talking about someone who used to leave work sometimes to take my son lunch at school. So yes,
Wow.
yeah. But he was spoiled, but he wasn't a brat, if that makes sense. And so I just still feel his presence, and yeah, and I'm grateful for that.
Sometimes I just have to take a moment and just take it all in because it's very personal when you're talking to somebody about the grief that they experience and somebody that really meant so much to them that's not here anymore. It's not light. I don't take it lightly. So sometimes I just have to pause and just take it all in. Um, have you found meaning in Amari's transition?
I tell you, I have found meaning. Really, the creation of my my Sunshine Foundation. Um, it's only because of his transition that that exists. And so the fact that we're able to go out and support and bless so many people, just having an immeasurable impact on lives. Yeah, it's just a blessing.
That's a beautiful legacy for him and for you.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. What did you or what do you wish people understood about grief?
Um, I guess one thing in which we all will know if we don't already know is that everyone will experience grief. If you just keep living, it's going to impact you. And I think there's no way to prepare for it. Even if someone is ill, as Amari was, or if it's unexpected, like your sister, um, it's going to occur. And I'll tell you what is keeping me sane and able to function is my faith in God.
Yeah.
And I thank him for that pretty much daily because otherwise I don't know how it still be going on.
Mhm.
because this grief is so heavy, and just so this cross is so heavy. I mean, it's just still surreal, as I said, and the fact that I'm able to continue working and run my Sunshine Foundation is just, to me, I call myself a walking miracle, because I'm still functioning, and
Still
I never would
functioning.
imagine I could. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, I just was agree. I said still functioning.
Yeah, still
Yeah.
functioning. Yeah.
How does this, or how has this experience shaped the way you treat others in their grief?
I appreciate you asking that question, and not just in their grief, but just treat others in general.
Yeah.
What I learned from my son's transition, one of the things is that we don't show each other enough grace. You never know what people are going through.
Mhm.
And then sometimes when you find out, it's like, wow, I didn't know. And so if we just are kinder and show more grace, then it won't matter, because, we would have been there and not behaved badly or said something, what have you. You know what I mean? Just give
Yeah.
people grace.
You know, I learned that a while ago, which is weird. I don't know. I grew up different somehow. But when people are upset, or like someone can say something extremely crazy to me, like just out in public or wherever, and my first thought is like, this is not your experience. Like your experience is something else. Something else is going on with you. And I'm always extremely curious as to what made you do that. Like what's happening with you? You need a hug. Like something more is going on. So I just always consider that and give that grace to people, because life is getting a little bit more rough in our faces, and there's a lot going on, and we're moving so fast that we can't give grace.
Yes.
We're moving way too fast, and we're moving fast and on to the next and doing this and doing that. So it's important to just stop, take that deep breath, and give yourself grace also.
I totally agree with that. And I think also, a lot of people are self-centered, and we just don't think about others as much as we could and should.
Absolutely. It's like, I don't know, COVID just made us just a little bit more. So,
Yeah, I
because we
agree.
still want that 6 feet, you know? Oh man, that was a time. What would you say is the hardest part of grief?
I guess two things: the separation, obviously,
Mhm.
between my son and me, and also just that emotional roller coaster, like never knowing when grief might hit me, and just you know bring me down,
Yeah,
and just not being able to control those emotions. And I think it's important for them to come out. So I don't try to suppress them unless I'm somewhere, where it's like, hold on a minute, let's get to a safe space to do
yeah.
so. But I think it's important to allow that to come out. So, yeah, I would say those two things.
I experienced something. So my sister passed in the hospital, um, and the beeping from the hospital would
Mhm.
get me. And in that time, like during that time she passed, I was working in the school system, and I was on summer break, which was beautiful. But then I decided to go work back with animals in an emergency hospital. So I went back to animals, and the beeping, I would be like, oh my God. So I would just cry or just leave or go outside. And if I'm at a job, everybody knows what's going on with Malcolm. I got to step away for a moment. So I told my therapist that the beeping was bothering me. She said, well, sit in it tomorrow
Mm.
and see how long of it you can handle. I said, what?
Mm.
So I started to sit in it. But before I did it, I went to work and I said, all right, y'all, I gotta sit in the beeping. So when it's going down, when we're doing CPR on a dog,
Mm.
I gotta stand there and just deal with it and
Mhm.
see how long I can handle.
Mhm.
So believe it or not, that actually helped me to the point where I still think about it, but it's like, okay, like you can still be present in this moment and
Mhm.
still relive that moment, which is somehow multitasking in your brain.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, thank you for that. I'm going to try that. So, my son was diagnosed with two conditions, I'll say. And for one of them, there's a commercial that comes on television. And every time it comes on, I have to mute the TV because it just bothers me. So I'm going to try that as well because as much as I want to, I mean, I can't just escape from everything that triggers me. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's hard to hear about other parents talking about their children and their grandchildren and all that when my son is gone and I'll never have grandchildren. So and I can't escape that.
yeah,
And so just like your therapist advised, I want to try to sit in it now and just try to it's not that I'm not happy for others, but it's just hard to listen to that.
yeah.
It's just hard.
I get that. My best friend and her sister are extremely close, extremely close. So there's no talking to my best friend without her sister, right?
Mm.
So there would be times where she would talk about it, and I would go, I don't want to hear that. So, and then, but we all were extremely close, but it was still difficult to be around somebody that still had their older sister living. And we were so close like family, but it was so challenging. So what I did was I told her, I said, well, you're my adopted big sister now.
Love that.
So I can figure out how to deal with that. So I've adjusted every now and again when I hear someone talk about their sister, I'm like, I do one of these. You know? And you have a little pouting moment. You're like, really? I gotta hear about your big sister,
Right.
you know?
Yes, I
But
know.
I mean, it just is what it is, right? It's I guess it's a moment of jealousy and maybe resentment or so.
Yeah.
But and we have the right to that.
Yes. We can.
Yes, we can definitely own that. So, don't stir away from that. But when you listen to that commercial, have your remote in hand with your finger ready to hit mute, okay?
Just in case, right?
Just in case.
Yes.
Um, so my last question, what do you say to other parents that are grieving?
Yes. I think about them all the time when I watch the news and hear about a child who's been killed or has passed away. It breaks my heart. So I say to my fellow grieving parents, um, find a support group, find a therapist, um, especially like those who are new to the club. Find someone who's farther along on this journey because they can be very helpful. They can pull you off the ledge. They can direct you to different resources. So and also as you said earlier, we need to show ourselves grace. This is traumatic, and yeah, just find support. Try not to isolate, because I don't think for the most part that's the best way to handle it. But I'm a loner, um, and so for me, sometimes being alone is good, but not always being alone, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, I would also add lean on the people that want to support you
Mm,
because it's a difference leaning on the people that really don't know how to,
mm,
but the people that want to support you will learn how to support you. There was a time like I would call my cousin. He lived a block away from me, and I would call him in silence or crying or just say, "Come on." and he would come over. And as soon as he would open the door, I would just fall in his arms, you know?
Yeah.
So definitely lean on those people that want to be there for you, that's going to show up.
That's so important. I tell you, I've had to sever some ties because of this experience, because people I thought were my friends, I questioned their friendship. Like some things that people said, and I know part of it was out of ignorance, but part of it made me question, do you really care about me? It's just been an amazing and eye-opening experience and journey. I would add to my fellow grieving parents, um, and I'm a very spiritual person, that if you don't have a relationship with God, I just don't know how I would be surviving this if I didn't. And so I just strongly encourage people who don't to develop it, and people who do have one to strengthen it,
Mhm.
however you can.
Yeah. And then also, we're going to add one more thing. The My Sunshine Foundation has some tools on there for you. If you go to the website, mysunshinefoundation.com,
.org.
.org.
Yes. No, no, no. I'm sorry. It is .org. Yes.
I'll
Duh.
put it at the bottom. We're going to put it at the bottom anyway, so they'll be all right.
Thank you.
But you definitely have some resources on there that are necessary. Because I was on there, I was like, wait a minute. Okay. So I appreciate that coming from you. It's definitely needed, that access to things that we are not familiar with. Do you have anything else that you would like to share or add before we wrap up?
So again, I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much for reaching out. And I look forward to seeing you on the 18th of October at the Fun Run Walk. And to your viewers, please, please, those who are grieving, whatever, be it a job, as you mentioned, a child, just whatever you're grieving or whoever you're grieving, please find help somewhere and support, because it's really needed. I believe. I mean, it's just really hard, I think, to do this on your own. We all need help at some point.
Absolutely. 100%. Um, Thank you for being so open and real with me and the viewers. I greatly appreciate it because, like I said earlier, this isn't a light or even easy or fun conversation that we're having, but it's necessary um, because it's not a conversation that's in the topic. It's not flowing. When you get on Instagram, you don't see this happening, you know? So it's very important that we throw this at people so they can see you are not alone and you're not the only one experiencing this, and there is help out there. Um, but your story will definitely resonate with others that are going through this particular loss. So I definitely appreciate you for joining me on the How You Grievin the Podcast. And just one thing for the people, remember, I am not your teacher, but I've learned a lot from my journey. And remember, the How You Grievin Podcast is where we share real stories, real pain, and real healing. So let's just continue to love and heal together. Thank you, Chanda Swinney.
Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you for having me.